Today, Nolly Elementary would like to recognize all of our December Leaders of the Month. We are so proud of all of these students for their outstanding leadership in the classroom, playground, lunchroom, and in the hallways at Nolly Elementary. Every day, these students work hard to exhibit the 7 habits. I will recognize students in each grade and tell you a little something about them. Our first Leader of the Month is in kindergarten in Mrs. Parton's classroom, Wilson Cease. Wilson was recognized for being proactive. Mrs. Parton said Wilson is a great role model. He encourages others to do good and leads by example. She said, "I am so proud of you, Wilson." Also in Mrs. Parton's class, we have Lane Johnson. Lane seeks first to understand. Lane is patient and he works hard to do his work neatly and on time. Mrs. Parton said, "I am so proud of the leader he has become." Our next Leader of the Month is in Mrs. Craig's room. It is Kenley Hughes. Kenley is proactive, begins with the end in mind, and always puts first things first. Mrs. Craig said Kenley comes in smiling every day. Her enthusiasm for learning is refreshing. She has a heart of gold and treats others like an old dear friend. Also in Mrs. Craig's room, we have Connor Elliott. Connor is proactive, begins with the end in mind, thinks win-win, and puts first things first. Mrs. Craig said Connor is our quiet little leader. He leads by sheer example all day. I appreciate his mindset and never giving up. In Mrs. Goubeau's class, we have Taryn Swain. Taryn thinks win-win. Mrs. Goubeau said Taryn is a very kind friend to all of the kindergartners. We also have Hannah Smith in Mrs. Goubeau's room. She is proactive. Mrs. Goubeau said Hannah tries best at everything she does. Great job, Hannah. In Mrs. Zukowski's room, we have Zane Mauger. Zane is being recognized for being proactive. Mrs. Zukowski said Zane loves learning, puts forth his best effort in everything he does, and he is kind and helpful to his classmates. We also have Corey Cash. Corey is proactive. Corey has shown great perseverance at Nolly School. Even after breaking her arm and having to write with her left hand, Corey's work quality is top-notch. She is always trying her best. We also have 2 online students in kindergarten recognized by Mrs. Guerreri. We have Joey Evans. Joey is always such a happy leader in their classroom. She always has a smile on her face too. Also in kindergarten is Morgan Jansen. Mrs. Guerreri said Morgan is a great example of a leader. She is always ready to participate and puts forth her very best effort. Congratulations to all of our kindergartners. Next, I will recognize our first grade Leaders of the Month. I will start with Mrs. Bowser's class. First up is Alexa Demrosky. Alexa begins with the end in mind. Mrs. Bowser said Alexa continually sets goals for herself and works hard to achieve them. Great job, Alexa. Also in Mrs. Bowser's class, we have Kane Cash. He synergizes with his classmates. Kane is kind towards all of his classmates and is always willing to lend a helping hand. In Mrs. Carmichael's room, we have one Leader of the Month, and that is Piper Dingy. Piper puts first things first. Mrs. Carmichael said, "I can always count on Piper to come in each morning ready to learn. She is also very kind to everyone and is a friend to everyone in her class." Great job, Piper. In Mrs. Fiesler's room, we have Emerson Boyd. Emerson puts first things first. Emerson always completes her morning work first and studies for her upcoming tests. Great job, Emerson. We also have Damian Davis, who is proactive. Mrs. Fiesler said Damian has been working hard on completing his schoolwork and doing more independent tasks each day. Great job. In Mrs. Rector's room, we have Paige Milhone. Paige begins with the end in mind. Mrs. Rector said Paige is a time test leader in our classroom. She works hard to achieve her goals. We also have Jesse Masuka in Mrs. Rector's room. Mrs. Rector said he is a leader in all of the 7 habits. She said Jesse is a model student in our class and works hard to help others, and he always has a positive attitude. And our last first grade Leader of the Month is Learning Online, and that is Calvin Kemp. Calvin is proactive. Mrs. Truex said Calvin always has his work done for the week and is always ready for class each and every day. Keep it up, Cal. Congratulations to our first graders. Now I will recognize our second grade leaders of the month. Our first student is in Mrs. Grandin's class, and it is Isaac Hessler. Isaac is being recognized for being proactive. Mrs. Grandin said Isaac tries hard each day to make the right choices as a friend and as a student. Great job, Isaac. We also have Liam Adkins. Liam puts first things first. Mrs. Grandin said Liam is such a go-getter. He comes in each day with a positive attitude and is always ready to learn. In Mrs. Rankin's room, we have Cohen Browning. Cohen begins with the end in mind. Mrs. Rankin said Cohen is a go-getter. He works hard and he knows what needs to get done. We also have Raina Neese, who likes to sharpen the saw. Mrs. Rankin said Raina is a friendly girl to all, and we welcome her to our classroom in room 121. In Mrs. Slimak's room, we have Emily Lyons. Emily seeks first to understand. Emily has the biggest heart and is always thinking of others. Also, we have Lillian Kuzmits. Lillian synergizes. Mrs. Slimak said Lillian is a team player and can work well with any peer while valuing others' strengths. In Mrs. Van Dorsten's room, we have Dominic McGraw. Dominic synergizes. Dominic is a good example of being a good leader because he works well with everybody and is a great helper in the classroom. We also have Hope Fink. Hope puts first things first. Mrs. Van Dorsten said Hope is a great student and is always working hard and doing her best. And we have one online student recognized by Mrs. Truax, and in second grade, that is Carl Parcell. Carl puts first things first. Carl is always an active participant and never misses a class. One day he couldn't log on through his computer, so he quickly logged in through his mom's phone so he didn't miss the lesson. Keep up the hard work, Carl. We love having you in class. Congratulations to all of our second grade leaders of the month. Now I will recognize our third grade leaders of the month. Our first student is in Mrs. Braley's room. It is Declan Wormald. Declan is proactive. Mrs. Braley said Declan has been working on his organizational skills. He works hard to listen to directions of where classroom papers and supplies need to go, so he is ready for each class. We also have Kaylin Grieger. Kaylin thinks win-win. Mrs. Braley said when a friend was having trouble finding text evidence, Kaylin held her book in the air to show him where it was with her finger. She is a very helpful person who encourages others often. We also have Gavin Cease. Gavin is in Mrs. Stasnis's class, and he puts first things first. Gavin is always on the ball and never needs to ask or be reminded what he should be doing. Great job, Gavin. We also have Olivia Shanley. Olivia puts first things first. Olivia is a very responsible person who works hard on her schoolwork, and she always puts her best effort into class. Great job, Olivia. In Mrs. Esterly's room, we have Ava Demrosky. Ava puts first things first. Mrs. Esterly said Ava comes to school ready to learn and always with a smile on her face. We also have Adeline Backer. Adeline puts first things first. Adeline strives every day to do her very best. Great job. We also have students in Mr. Straub's room. I have Vicki Nathaniel. Vicki puts first things first. Mr. Straub said Vicki works hard when she needs to and then always synergizes afterwards. We also have Kasten Gomberg. Kasten puts first things first. Kasten keeps on working, and if he runs out of time, he takes it home and returns his work the next day. Way to go, Kasten. We have one third grader who's learning online that was recognized by Mrs. Millville, and that is Lucy Lieb. Lucy is a leader in Mrs. Millville's virtual classroom because she came to class even when she and her whole family was sick because she didn't want to fall behind. That kind of work ethic will take her far in life. Congratulations and good job, Lucy. Congratulations to all of our third grade leaders of the month. Finally, we have our fourth grade leaders of the month. Our first student is in Mrs. Matson's room. It is Wyatt Emery. Wyatt puts first things first. Mrs. Matson said Wyatt comes to school prepared with all of his schoolwork completed and always done well. In Mrs. Toth's room, we have Zoe Powell. Zoe puts first things first. Mrs. Toth said Zoe is quietly ready every day to start the school day and is being a super responsible fourth grader. In Mrs. Oaks' room, we have Lily Cooper. Lily begins with the end in mind. Mrs. Oaks said Lily really thinks hard before she begins to do her schoolwork or answer questions. We also have Casey Jividen, who is in Mrs. Gardner's room. Casey seeks first to understand. Mrs. Gardner and Mrs. Kish said Casey does a fantastic job of always seeking first to understand a project or activity before beginning on it. And he also tries to always complete his work on time. Great job, Casey. We have one fourth grade online leader of the month, recognized by Mrs. Millville, and it is Sophia Meadows. Sophia is a leader in Mrs. Millville's virtual classroom because she is always willing to participate in every class, whether it is raising her hand to answer a question, to orally read, or to help out a friend. Sophia is always trying her best every single day. Great job to all of our fourth grade leaders of the month. Congratulations to all of our leaders of the month. The entire staff at Nolly School is so proud of these December leaders. Keep up the outstanding leadership. We are all very proud of you. I hope everyone has a wonderful winter break, and we'll see you back here very soon.